Well, hello and welcome. I'm Dr. Matthews, and this is an audio version of the presentation I made at the Enhancing Teaching and Learning Conference held at the Johnson County Community College. It was presented by the Kansas City Professional Development Council. Now, my presentation focused in on how we can quickly and clearly assess student writing assignments regardless of the length of the assignment and also regardless of the amount of students that you're looking at, and to do so without a red pen. The crux there is to try and reclaim the time that we spend in assessing student writing and make the assessment that we're providing much more meaningful and impactful than it is right now. Now, traditionally, how we go about assessing student writing is we go through the syllabus and then we tell them what is expected with regard to the assignments in this particular course, that there are going to be several writing assignments, that you're going to turn these in a myriad of different ways. Now, one of the things that some are still doing is they're having the students handwrite their assignments and then turn them in, and then you're writing on the handwritten assignment and turning it back. That's a little inefficient. Well, that's quite inefficient. And there's some better ways, some better tools and techniques that you should employ to make your life a little bit easier. So let me stop right there. And let me caveat all this by saying this is not necessarily going to work for everybody, or it won't work the same way for everybody. And some of you who are listening will not adopt this simply because it's not something that is comfortable for you, or it's not something that you're interested in. What I do hope that you will do is at least take some of the points that I'm going to share here and adopt those. Maybe you don't see the use of the techniques that I'm going to share with you, or the tools that I'm going to provide to you as valuable as other people might, but maybe you'll find one or two points of interest that you can use and leverage into your current teaching methodology to make life a little bit easier for you and maybe a little bit easier on you. The first point therein then is to not have your student handwrite the assignment. Now, if you are a writing teacher, if writing or English composition or English grammar or grammar composition or journalism or one of the other fields that is unique and specific to the writing process is part of what it is that you do, or if that is the focus of what you do, then by all means stick with whatever it is that works for you. But for the majority of us, whether we're in psychology or sociology or even criminal justice or one of the other myriad of different disciplines, to include math and some of the sciences, the mechanics of writing are a little less important than the content that's being provided. And so we're looking for the content, and we should focus in on those things. I share that kind of as a tongue-in-cheek type of a comment, because I know I fall prey to wanting to correct some of the mechanical issues that I find in the student writing, even above and beyond the issues of content. And that's duplicating the effort. There's already professionals in my institution who do that, and they do it quite well. So if I just focus in on what it is that I'm trying to get to, which is typically the content, things go a lot smoother, and I can reclaim some of the time that I'm otherwise using. So the students are sitting here in the classroom setting. They know what the expectations are because you've gone over that through the syllabus. You provided them with a rubrics as to what how the writing assignment is going to be looked at or analyzed, and then they turn in the assignment. Hopefully you're having your students turn their assignments in via email. They're putting it into some sort of a Dropbox, or turning it into you through some other electronic means. So they've written it, they've had a chance to spell check it, they've perhaps even grammar checked it a little bit, and then they've uploaded the document to you. Then you would have an opportunity to either download the document or print it and then make your corrections. This document that I'm showing you here is just a sample, an example that I created just for this presentation. So one of the first things that I would do is, or we might all do when we're typically assessing these types of assignments, is to break out the red pen. And once we break out the red pen, we're looking at some of the very specific issues that the individual is has created for themselves, and we're thinking, at least in our minds, that we're doing a great job of sharing this information with them. Hey, by the way, you should put a comma here. Is that really relevant to the content that you're trying to get across? Hey, this is really too long. You need to fix it. A little bit vague and maybe a bit ambiguous as to what we mean by it's too long or fix it. Here, we even put in or underlined or highlighted for the student that in this term you put the word filed, but obviously you meant the word field, and so you have a spelling error here, so you need to correct that. Is this all supposed to be in capital letters? And we go through and we make all of these vague and sometimes unspecific red marks and notations and annotations, but then at the end of it all, we write in a nice comment that says, hey, this is actually good work. Now, from our perspective, what we're seeing is, hey, we've provided the student with some great information, some great content. They can take this and do a great job of moving along with it and making the corrections that need to be made so that they can do better in the future. What we sometimes fail to see or fail to take into account is that may not be what the student is seeing. What they're seeing instead is a whole lot of red, like you cut your finger and you bled all over their paper. While that may not have been our intent, in many cases that might be the impact. Well, that's still kind of the traditional methodology that's applied for assessing student assignments. When I think of like traditional assessments 1.0, then what I'm thinking of is those assignments that are turned in online, they're graded online, and then they're replaced or they're also returned to the student. Similarly, you'd have the same type of technology or techniques rather that are applied. We've highlighted some of the information that's critical or that's useful to us for the student to know. In some cases, it's something as simple as adding a period, or we've again written in here, hey, this is too long. Or here we've even done the students a service by correctly filling in the correct word for them, letting them know that they've used the incorrect word or the incorrect terms. And we've gone through here and again we've provided all this great content. But in fact, all we've done is just mechanics. All this is just mechanical stuff that really doesn't add to the content. Now, I understand and recognize that if you are, again, a English teacher, or if composition is part of what it is you're doing, or journalism is part of what you're doing, then you want not only for them to have the great content, but they need to have the mechanics down pat. And for you, this might be assessments 1.0. This is the next thing that you're going to want your students to see, and then hopefully improve from there. The deal is, though, in our assessments, particularly our traditional assessments, there's kind of a dichotomy. We know what we want the students to get from our writing, our written assessments. We want them to be inspired. We want them to have this light bulb moment. We want them to understand and get a realization of, oh yeah, the aha. This is how we do it, or this is how it's supposed to be done, or this is a better way of getting it corrected, and then take that into future assignments so they can certainly generate better papers in the future. But what the students actually get from our written assessments is a lot of confusion quite often. We have vague and cryptic notes, and because it's one-dimensional, because they don't really get the context of what it is we're saying, that little side comment of, hey, this is good work, usually goes unnoticed by the student for the most part. So what we've created between what we want for our students and what the students are actually getting is this great big chasm between the two. There's this huge disconnect. What we need is some way to bridge the gap. And in order to do that, I'm going to share with you a couple of tools that I have found useful in the ways to apply these tools in the context of writing assessments to get the students where it is that we think they need to go. This could be the next headline that you see in mainstream education: digital natives outpacing digital immigrants. I'm going to cover that in just a second. But some of this other information that's here, although it's fictional, could be very real. It's very possible. The demand for hiring managers for able writers, the classroom sizes continue to expand, the writing assignments continue to increase, all while the educator's time available for grading remains unchanged up until now. So the question might come to your mind: why is there a gap? Where is this disconnect? So during this short presentation, I just want to introduce you to 2.5 terms for bridging this gap in the learning landscape. The first term is digital natives. The second term you may be familiar with as well is digital immigrants. And then the last term, of which I'm only going to halfway kind of define for you here in this presentation, is digital fluency. To start with, the digital natives are those students, those in our student population, who were born after 1980. This term was, of course, coined by the researcher Mark Prensky, and it's used to describe this people group. Major parts of their lives and daily activities are mediated by the digital technology and the social interaction and the friendships and whatnot that are done in the digital medium, and it's done online. The digital native has really never known any other way of life, and as a result, some of the things that we take for granted, they don't. Or some of the things they take for granted, they don't realize that they were actually invented, and there's some history that goes behind it, and there's a reality or realization that needs to be connected with some of the things that they do. One of the things that Zura identified were the three aspects of the digital natives: the avoider, the minimalist, and of course those who we look to find, the enthusiastic participants. One of the things that you will also note with the digital native is that they don't really ascribe to the single function device. In this case, I'm looking at and showing here the wristwatch, the traditional wristwatch. Well, for the digital native, the traditional wristwatch is kind of passé. It only does one thing: it tells time. For everybody else, that's what the wristwatch is supposed to do. As a result, the digital native might be looking at the content of their writing and missing the mechanics of the writing, because they don't see that as critical or important. And much like those things that only serve one purpose, they don't see that there's a whole lot of value in that. The wristwatch serves only one purpose, but for the digital for the digital native, they'd be looking for something a little bit more multifaceted. I note here in the presentation that some of the younger digital natives do prefer texting to emailing, and some of our digital natives, by and large, prefer emailing to regular snail mailing. It's been suggested that sometimes there's some other sociological issues that arise as a result of this type of loss of interaction. The next group of individuals that I want to share with you about is the digital immigrants. And now, the digital immigrant, by and large, that's us. According to Wang and Myers and Sundrum, the digital immigrant is defined as those who learned to use computers at some time during their adult life. So those folks who were born before 1980, which encompasses a great number of the instructors and professors in your institutions. Although we are a highly diverse group in terms of our attitudes and our capacities in regard to digital technologies, we have this group of typologies that are very similar to those of the digital native. And according to the research, the digital immigrant also has their group of avoiders, and rather than having the minimalists, the digital immigrant has the reluctant adopters, and then of course they have the enthusiastic adopters as well, which is again those group of individuals who will take the learning management system that we have and apply it to the best of their ability. To go back just a step or so, there are the digital immigrants who are avoiders, and those are by and large some of our faculty colleagues and friends who have decided that even though we have something more technologically advanced than the overhead slide projector or even the carousel slide projector, they're not going to use that. They prefer the overhead slide projector because you can use colored markers, and using the transparency gives you a chance to wipe it off with the alcohol and change things on the fly. They don't want to use things like PowerPoint, or they are reluctant adopters, and so they've been told, hey, you've got to use these technologies because we've already provided them to you. So they have the learning management system that they're using, whichever learning management system that might be, but they're using it minimally. They're using it to maybe keep control of their attendance. Perhaps they're using it for uploading and downloading particular files. Maybe they're even adding their slide presentations there, and certainly they're in some cases collecting up the writing assignments that are provided to the students, or that the students are turning in as a part of what they do for the course. Those reluctant adopters at least are using the learning management system and some of the technology to a degree. But when we're looking at the assessing student writing, and we're looking at the people group that we're dealing with, which is the digital natives, we're again on two different paths of thought. So we need to kind of correct that. And the only way we can do that is this last half a term is to become digitally fluent. And one of the best ways to do that, aside from repeated use and exploration, is to go to courses, to train, to practice, to kick the tires, to make the effort to get better at what it is that you do. So with that, what we're going to do here is work to hack the digital assessment, work to hack the writing assessment, work to hack into how it is we do things the old-fashioned way, if you want to look at it that way, or traditional way, and doing it in a more contemporary way. So these are my disclaimers. First, I'm not affiliated with any of the products that are demonstrated or discussed, and I'll happily share my experience as a user but receive no remuneration for the display or use of these products. The next thing is I'm going to show you how I use these products and how they work for me and how they can work for you. And I assure you two things. If you use these tools that I'm going to show you, then they will and they can and they will work for you. To the degree plus or minus is going to be how well you use it, how often you use it, how involved you get with its use. And the corollary to that is if you do not use these tools, then I promise you they will not work for you. So the object here is to put these tools into play, put them into practice, and at least give them a shot, because you have absolutely nothing to lose. Because the third caveat, my disclaimer, at the time of this presentation, all the products I'm sharing with you here are free. So I want to take us from the traditional assessment and even on beyond the assessment 1.0 to what I like to think of as hacking assessments 2.0. To make our intentions known, we use our words. And to make our intentions clear, we should use our voice. This is not something that's brand new, but it's something that you might consider, reposting or printing out and holding out on your having it hung on your wall, or maybe you're using it in your own classroom. If we're trying to get an intention across, we can certainly use our words, but if we want to make sure that they understand what the meaning is, then we need to articulate that. So regardless of our best efforts when writing, a great deal of information is lost in translation. You cannot write well enough, or concisely enough, or even detailed enough for all the meaning and the nuances to be transferred from what it is you see with regard to the writing assessment to what it is you intend or want. The true fact is that we can reduce the loss of the information that's being translated when we use our voice. If you simply say something, so why not speak into our assessments, literally? Why not speak into our assessments? Part of Hacking 2.0 talks about that. Here's how I see the challenge. How do you respond to perhaps a dozen, or maybe even a couple of dozen writing assignments and still provide clear, meaningful, and individual feedback to the students in a manner that they will understand in a manner that they can take and apply to what it is that they're already doing and become more successful as a result. These are some solutions that I'm going to share with you here, and so you'll have to bear with me as we bounce back and forth to the live feature, if you will, as opposed to the static PowerPoint that will be attached to this presentation as well. The first solution is that if you're using a short assignment, that might be a reflective journal, that might be something along the lines of an analysis, a critical thinking analysis of a journal article that was that you've assigned for a reading and response, and you're having the students use a templated version or follow a template in order to deconstruct the journal article or the peer review article and get you some specific information you're looking at. If that's the type of assignment that you're looking at, then you might want to use this tool called MoveNote. And again, the rationale that I use to follow this or to support all of this is the fact that we typically can speak much faster than we can type. And if we're trying to get across meaning as opposed to just information, then the meaning is captured much better through our voice. Ideally, a one-on-one or one-to-one conversation face-to-face would take it up to the next level. And then I use also a process of providing this kind of feedback. But before I get into that too much, I want to talk a little bit about MoveNote. So with MoveNote, you can use pretty much any mobile device that you have and access MoveNote. If you just go to www.movenote.com, you can sign up for that, download or actually sign up for that online, and it's a web-based technology. And if you have whether you have an iOS or an Android type phone or some other type of platform, as long as you've got the basics of a camera and audio device or whatnot, you can record the information you're looking for. Let me stop right here as I walk through kind of the process you should apply, whether you're using a MoveNote or some other type of mechanism, some other type of tool in order to create the assessment. Step one is the format. I suggest that you read the submitted work and then jot down any kind of key points based on the rubric that you have associated with the graded work. I suggest that you always begin with what the student did well. Some people call this or think of this as a sandwich technique. You start out with the impressive, the good, the positive. You sandwich it in the middle with some of the things that weren't done as well or maybe were challenging and can be done a little bit better, and then you end up with something that's a little more positive. So begin with what they did well. Briefly revisit the expected assignment by using the rubrics, and I'll share that with you, not in MoveNote, but in one of the other tools here in just a second. And while you're there, correct any misunderstood requirements. So if you were vague or it was unspecific as to the word count, or it was unspecific as to the tense that was supposed to be applied in this particular writing assignment, then you can clear that up very, very quickly in the MoveNote. And then finally, or second to finally, you want to deliver the news. Did they do well? Did they not do well? What was the overall outcome of their writing assessment? And then the last piece of it, of course, is to encourage them to continue to perform well. This is not unlike what you normally do when you have a typical writing assignment and you're using the great big red pen or the great big red marker, and you're sharing with the students the things that you think are essential and critical for them to be successful. What I do like to do, though, is kind of point out these pieces here. Always begin with what they did well. Briefly revisit the expected assignments or the outcomes. Here you're resharing or reintroducing sometimes or refreshing their memory with regard to the rubric that was applied so that there's no misunderstanding as to how the assignment is being graded. You go the extra step by correcting any of the misunderstood requirements. Again, it might be page length or word count or tenses, or whether it was APA versus MLA or things of that nature. And then finally, the one of the important aspects is to deliver the news. How did they do? Whether that's a letter grade or a point score or something along those lines, to let them know that this is the level that their assignment met, or this is the level that their assignment got to. And then you always want to end on a positive note in some way. Encourage the student to continue to perform, and if this is the first assignment, let them know, hey, this is the first assignment, so I expect that you're going to do better, because you will do better. One of the things with MoveNote, is, in order to get the assignment into a format that you can use MoveNote with, there is one extra step, and it's that you have to save the assignment as either a PDF or a JPEG, or as a PowerPoint presentation or something along those lines. Other than that, the other things that you would use with MoveNote are many of the other tools would be pretty much the same. So let me share with you a part of a recorded demo for MoveNote. This is a demonstration that I put into place. This is a demonstration that I have used. I put this demonstration into place some time ago, and I created it specifically for this presentation. So let me move this into the MoveNote so you can actually see this. On the left, you can see that you have the video of me, and if you don't want the video to be added, you would just click off the video so it was just the audio. But here's the kind of the critical or the important piece, which is over here with the fundamentals of crime analysis. You would click onto that piece of it, which will allow you to go to the MoveNote. Now, unfortunately, I can't get past this advertisement piece, which is a little disconcerting, but it is what it is, because again, this product is free, so you have to put up with 12 seconds of advertising unless you purchase it. Oops. So that's really the essentials of MoveNote. So let me close that off and go back to it. So what you would have noticed there is you should have seen the video of me on the left-hand side of the screen, or perhaps right-hand side of the screen, and then I'm pointing out, using the document that they created, the writing assignment that they developed. I pulled that up under MoveNote, and I can highlight some of those key aspects of it. One of the another thing that's good with MoveNote is not only can you record it from pretty much any mobile device that you have, but once you have it recorded, you would save that recording, or that recording would be saved, and you would simply send the student a link to that particular recording. And I'll walk through that here in just a second, a little bit more, when we get to some of the other, one of the other products, as to how that could be done. Now with MoveNote, because it's a free product, you have between 0 seconds, of course, to about 20 minutes of audio and visual. That's per segment. So if you have a long paper, well, one of the things you might want to do is break that paper up. If you're going to go line by line, if you're going to go page by page, then you might do 5 minutes per page and do a series of these MoveNotes and send it to the student. Or you might do big chunks of it and cover the essential information in the pages you're looking at. But ideally, the MoveNote is best used for the recorded, or best used for the short presentation, the shorter type of presentation or assessment. So then the next, then I was going to do the live demo, but you can get to the live demo by simply going to movenote.com. and then signing up for it and then practicing it yourself. Also on MoveNote, when you go to movenote.com, you'll also see a number of pre-existing videos as samples or ideas and cues of how you can better use MoveNote to get the information out to the student, and then kind of bend it to the way that you want it to show up. And next, with regard to the writing challenge, a writing assignment challenge, we're looking at 2.0. We're honed in on the aspects of the digital immigrant. If the writing assignment is longer, say it's several pages long, and you still again use the rubric, use of the screencastomatic is what I would recommend. This is a really cool tool. One of the great things is that with screencastomatic, you not only tailor the feedback to the individual, but you could do that in a live manner. You show them exactly what it is that you're trying to get them to do, or what it is you want them to do, what it is you want them to accomplish. And again, you can pull in those aspects of the assessment that are critical for their success. So let me pull up a demo of a screencast-o-matic and show you what that might look like. So again, as with the MoveNote, screencast-o-matic allows you to bring in a video of yourself, as well as in the background the live screen itself. It's some of you have probably used screencast-o-matic or Screencaster or something similar in the Mac environment. But once you've again recorded that, you can get the same information, and because it is live, you'll note that I'm moving the screen around, move my photo around, of course, and then scroll down to, in this case, what the expectations were for this particular course. Those are the requirements for the assignment, and then you can see how that would work out. So let me pause that for a moment so that I can show you this last piece, which is how do you get the screencast to the student itself. So once you've created the screencast, and oh, by the way, again, you have about 15 minutes to create a screencast, and you can do as many as you like. I've done, as you'll note here, I've done a number of them for free, and then send out to the student. Before I get to that, I have purchased the Pro version. I purchased the Pro version, which was, I think, $15 for the year. That might seem a little bit steep, but really, for an unlimited amount of screencasts, and in this case with the Pro version, you are not limited by time. The time constraint is only limited by the amount of computer space you have on your hard drive. Okay, so in this case, if I want to ship my student this screencast, what I would do is click onto the assessment link itself, highlight the direct link, and then copy and paste it into an email and shoot it to them. I could also, as you can see here, download that as an MP4 and integrate it into either an email or put it onto the website. Or if you're doing something with your website specifically, you can copy the embedded code just like you would with a YouTube video and share that as well. There's again a number of different ways you could share that information, but the idea is once you've recorded it, you're sending the student essentially this link, and then they go in using their own device, whatever their mobile device might be, or even a laptop or a desktop or whatnot, and they can listen to, and if they have a screen, listen to and see what it is that you meant when you were providing the information you were providing. So that's again MoveNote and screencast-o-matic. Let me share with you very briefly what I consider some of the pros and cons for both of these. On MoveNote, again, they're both accessible, but your mobile device, you have 15 to 30 minutes of recording line, and you have to use, or you have to take the time to change your format, save the format of the work as a PDF or as a JPEG. With screencastomatic, the screen capture tool, everything is live action, but the caveat to that, or the con, is that there's currently not a mobile version for that. So where you could use MoveNote on your iPad, your iPhone, your tablet, screencastomatic is restricted to your laptop, some of the tablets that do have flash on them, your desktop, things of that nature. You get I think, a slightly higher quality of recording using the screencastomatic, but you lose some of the mobility for you, the instructor who's creating the presentation itself. And then finally, there are similarities to both of these applications because they allow playback to the student on any mobile device that they have across all the operating systems that are currently in use today. And the bottom line on both of these is that these applications are, at the time of this presentation, 100% free. Okay, well, that's pretty much it. Here's how I would summarize this type of information. These tools rather. You could very quickly create an assessment for each and every one of the documents that's turned into you, but instead of spending 20 minutes writing what was wrong or what was right or what could be improved, you could spend 2 to 5 minutes telling them what was wrong, what was right, or what needs to be improved. Instead of having to regurgitate all this information using the mighty red pen, you could send that to them in a link. And then they have an opportunity now to engage with you in a couple of different ways. They can see what it is you said, they can hear what it was that you were saying, and then they know exactly what it is that you were focused in on, so that there's not a loss in translation with regard to the information itself. And you can quickly assess 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 students a whole lot faster than you can assess them. You can quickly assess them using this methodology, and technology being applied, than you can in the traditional method. That's why I would look at this assessment as assessing writing 2.0. Well, that's the crux of it. I know there was a lot of information to be crammed into a 1 hour time block, and so I hope that if you have any questions, you'll feel free to contact me. You can send me an email at ematthews@park.edu, or you can call, leave a message. I'll be happy to further explain, or maybe even create a MoveNote for you or a screencast-o-matic and shoot to you those aspects that are, or answer your question in that way and give you those aspects, that information that you're seeking. As always, I like to finish up any of my presentation by sharing with you the references that I am using or have used in this presentation specifically. Well, that's about it. Again, thank you for your time and attention, and I will hopefully see you online sometime. Have a great one.